This presentation will be giving you an introduction of Taith Pathway 1 Mobility of Participants 2025. Now, Taith is Wales's international learning exchange programme, creating opportunities for people to learn, study and volunteer all over the world. We are fully funded by Welsh Government. We run 2 pathways a year, Pathway 1 and Pathway 2. This presentation will be introducing you to Pathway 1, where the next round of funding will be opening on the 30th of January. Pathway 1 supports organisations based in Wales to send their learners, young people, staff and volunteers on an international learning exchange. This is also referred to as mobility. An international exchange is the exchange of learning between an individual or group of people from Wales and an individual or group of people from another country. This exchange enables participants to learn from each other, experience different cultures and share experiences. So learning can be in a variety of forms, which can include formal learning. So this is the learning that generally takes place in a school, college or university, and where the participant will get a qualification. Then we have informal learning, which is unplanned learning, where the participant is gaining knowledge or skills through their engagement in other activities. This can also be called experiential learning. And then we have non-formal learning, which is planned learning which takes place outside of traditional formal environments, such as in a community setting. The focus of the learning is more on practical skills rather than academic knowledge. Types of learning mobilities within a Pathway 1 project can include a group mobility, which is an opportunity for groups of learners to experience an international learning exchange, accompanied by staff who can support them and guide them through the learning experience. An individual mobility is an opportunity for an individual participant to have an independent and bespoke learning experience through an international learning exchange. These learners do not require any accompanying persons. These mobilities should be centred around experiences, knowledge and skills. A virtual group exchange can be applied for when there is clear justification that travel for the intended participants is not possible or feasible. The virtual exchange should enable learners to experience an international exchange, communicate with and work alongside peers from an international partner organisation, and to develop skills, knowledge and understanding. Staff activities include job shadowing, which will allow staff to observe best practice, participate in knowledge exchange and support their career development. Placement mobilities are an opportunity for appropriately experienced staff to train or facilitate activities at an international and partner organisation abroad. Training courses and professional development allows participants to access a structured course or a similar kind of training provided by qualified professionals based on a predefined learning programme and learning outcomes. Best practice and innovation focuses on quality and innovation to bring back lessons learned and tools to the sector organisation involved in the project and beyond. Preparatory visits to new or existing international partners for the purposes of supported planning or ongoing Taith mobilities being applied for within the same application. If learners or young people are not participating in the project, applicants will need to explain why this is not feasible and how the proposed project will create immediate and lasting benefits for learners or young people, in particular those from underrepresented groups. The sectors that are eligible to apply for Pathway 1 are schools, youth, adult education, further education and vocational education and training, and higher education, both education and research mobilities. It is important to check whether your organisation is eligible to apply before starting the application. Full details on eligibility criteria can be found in the programme guides, which will be available once the funding window has opened. All organisations and members of consortia must be regulated or registered in and operating from Wales. We do accept consortium applications, which is when 2 or more organisations are working collaboratively to develop and deliver a project or activity. Individual participants cannot apply directly for a grant, nor can international organisations. Taith funding is available to Welsh organisations, so it would be up to the Welsh organisation to disseminate the funding if successful to the individual participants or partnering organisation if necessary. If you are still unsure on whether your organisation is eligible, please get in touch with the Taith team via inquiries@taith.wales and someone from the team will be able to advise. Here are just a few of the benefits that international exchange can have on learners, staff and organisations. From an individual perspective, these experiences can benefit personal and professional development, as well as increase skills and employability. As they experience a new country, this will broaden their cultural horizons and can develop language skills. Travelling to a new place can be daunting, so once a person has travelled to different countries, this can massively boost their confidence. And then from an organisation point of view, Taith exchanges can improve the training and career development for staff and can allow them to share good practice with international partners. An improvement in provision could be accomplished and can also create better opportunities for engaging learners. Our strategy focuses on making Taith an inclusive and accessible international exchange programme for people across Wales. We encourage participation from people from underrepresented groups. These include those from disadvantaged backgrounds, ethnic minority backgrounds, disabled people and people with additional learning needs. We ensure that our funding supports those with barriers to participation, and we also provide additional support to the organisations that support them. In order for Pathway 1 exchanges to provide the greatest impact, at least 25% of learners or young people participating in a project must be from underrepresented groups. Additional funding is available to support participants facing financial barriers to participation. There are two types of inclusion support available: for disabled people and those with additional learning needs, and for those from disadvantaged backgrounds. For more information on criteria for disadvantaged participants, please check the Pathway 1 programme guide on our website. Taith also provides additional organisational support for organisations that support participants from underrepresented groups. And then we have the introductory mobilities. These are short UK-based introductory mobilities which are possible as part of a progression to an international mobility, where applying organisations feel that an international mobility would not otherwise be achievable. Applicants will need to explain in the application why a UK-based introductory mobility is essential to enable their learners to take part in an international mobility opportunity. We have had feedback from schools that these introductory trips have really made the difference for some pupils to be able to take part in the international trip. In terms of funding, all participants will receive a travel and subsistence grant to cover their travel, accommodation and food whilst on the trip. These are all flat rates based on the distance travelled and country that they go to. Applying organisations will also receive an organisational support grant, which is a project management budget to allow them to organise the trip, for example, to cover supply costs. For group mobilities, Taith will also contribute £500 towards the cost of the bus or any other travel from Wales to the airport or point of departure. Staff can receive funding for course fees. If you are applying for virtual exchanges, if your participants are unable to travel, there is funding available for the cost of facilitating these up to £1,200. In addition to the outward budget, you can request an additional 30% on top to bring participants from your partner school or organisation back into Wales. Once your project has started and your participants have been chosen, you can then apply for additional funding to support participants from disadvantaged backgrounds, disabled people and people with additional learning needs. The funding is based on actual costs and intended to remove any barriers to participation. For example, participants from a disadvantaged background can apply for funding for the cost of a passport or suitable clothing or luggage if they don't have any. Similarly, for disabled participants and/or participants with additional learning needs, you can request funding for any support that they require to be able to take part. You will need to complete a request form detailing what the costs are and why they are necessary to enable the individual to take part. Completing an application. When the call opens at the end of January, you will be able to sign up to webinars to support you in completing an application. The links to sign up will be available on the Pathway 1 funding page of the website, along with the Pathway 1 guide and the application questions and guidance on each one. In addition to this, you can request a one-to-one call with a member of the team at any point. We're also working with WCIA, the Welsh Centre for International Affairs, who are able to provide tailored support to organisations who have not received Taith funding before. If you have not received Taith funding before, the Taith Champions can help. They will focus on engaging organisations with little or no experience of international exchange and with less resource available. and those working with the most disadvantaged, those from underrepresented groups, and those with disabilities and/or additional learning needs. The WCIA can provide advice and support for organisations to apply for funding. The application system will be available at the end of January and will be accessed via the Taith website. The application form will ask for written responses on a range of questions, including a project overview, details about planned project activities, project and financial management, and relevance to Taith's purpose and objectives. There will be 2 different application forms depending on the amount that you are applying for. If you are applying for £60,000 or under, the form will be shorter and require less information. The questions for applications for both over and under £60,000 will be available on the website with the resources. Now I'm going to go over some Pathway 1 project examples from the past couple of years. Firstly, we have a schools project. Now, Taith funding is not just for secondary age pupils. Oakfield Primary School in Barry took 30 Year 5 and Year 6 pupils to Murcia in Spain for a week-long mobility. They partnered with a school in Spain and they took part in all sorts of different activities and were immersed with the Spanish children for the whole of the trip. This project had funding for some of the Spanish staff and pupils to come back to Wales as well. Most of the pupils on this trip received additional funding support for the things that they needed to be able to go away. For example, passports, clothing, luggage. We also recognise all of the work that the school put in to make this possible for the students. For example, arranging them to get passports. And then we have GISDA, who are a charity that provides support and opportunities to vulnerable and homeless young people in North Wales. In June 2023, they travelled to Finland to spend time with a local youth group, gaining new experiences, learning new skills and using nature to support mental well-being. This became a life-changing experience for some of the participants and has created new opportunities for their future. Staff and learners from Coleg Ceredigion partnered with Northwest College in Alberta, Canada, to work on a model of delivery for health and social care courses. The aim of this visit was to increase recruitment and retention of health and social care professionals in rural parts of Wales. This experience allowed participants to gain a new perspective of care practices and explore new ways to improve the overall well-being of the population in rural areas of Wales. The international mobility gave the students different opportunities that enhanced their development and had a direct impact on their career prospects. Then we have Oasis Cardiff, who are an organisation who provides support to asylum seekers and refugees. One of the elements of support they offer are classes in English for speakers of other languages. Through Taith funding, Oasis sent 2 staff members on international mobilities to look at how to address recognised challenges to the delivery of language classes for forced migrants. Now to go over the next steps. So to confirm, the funding call will open on the 30th of January 2025. To keep up to date with Taith news, you can sign up to the Taith newsletter, which is available at the bottom of our website, and you can follow us on all social media channels. If you think Taith funding is for you, you should consider what mobilities will benefit your participants and organisation, and then discuss with your wider organisation and senior management team. If you are still unsure whether Taith is for you, or you want to talk about a project idea, you can request a one-to-one meeting via the website. We are holding a couple of webinars during February and March, so you should consider attending these to get further information. You can also get in touch directly with the programmes team to discuss any potential project ideas or to discuss whether Taith funding is for your organisation. Walter Brutz covers higher education, FE and VET. Bethan Williams is the Adult Education Programme Officer. Becky Payne is the Schools Programme Officer. And then Sean James is the Youth Programme Officer.